Thanks for joining the DESC webinar. Today, this is the first of a bi-weekly webinar where we're going to be speaking to different types of entrepreneurs to see how they've been coping during this quarantine period and during this coronavirus period that's kind of put everybody up in the air as to what they're doing or where they're going. So today, we're going to be speaking to Franklin Boateng, who is the king of trainers. So Franklin, thanks so much for joining us today. I really
No,
appreciate it.
thank you for having me.
So, let's get straight into it. So, you're an entrepreneur. For people who don't know who you are, can you explain to everybody who you are and what you do and why you're the king of trainers?
Okay, so thank you so much for having me. I'm very grateful and privileged to be your first guest on this show. My name is Franklin, Franklin Boateng, aka King of Trainers. I guess I will start. My business background is I am a teacher and lecturer and consultant for social media. And then I have a blog online, mainly Instagram, but all other platforms as well, called King of Trainers. The nickname came from when I was a kid. My mum loved tennis, and she really loved like people like tennis players like Boris Becker. So in like '85, he won the Wimbledon Championship, and she started just buying me trainers that the tennis players wore, and then when when during that time in the early '80s, if you had name brand items, people would it was kind of a bit special. So people would be like, "You're the king of trainers." It was like a nickname. And then in the '90s, I used to go to the States a lot and bring back pairs of trainers. And back then, before the internet, if you brought back a pair of trainers from the States, it wasn't available in the UK.
Right.
And then people would be asking, "Where do you get that?" But they couldn't get it. So I used to get, after every summer holidays, people used to come to my classroom looking at my footwear or waiting for me to come out to see what I was wearing. Yeah, so that's kind of that whole name. And then it transcended into a brand where online I will post news and information about the latest drops. And then that's now transcended into like a personality where I now do consultancy, um, ambassadorships, content creation, and various things like that. Yeah.
And so, you're obviously an entrepreneur who's been doing this for a while. But I guess even the most seasoned entrepreneur would have found this period very testing. How have you
Yes.
found, being an entrepreneur and trying to weather this storm of, not only trying to pay yourself, but maybe people that do business with, so on and so forth?
Yes. So, me personally, because a lot of what I do is online content, and I do teach physically, like workshops and webinars. Um, a lot of the retailers they suffered because they had to close their stores. So in the beginning, it was a bit wobbly in terms of that aspect. I do have other streams of income, so I wasn't worried about me personally in terms of my income, but in terms of the actual content stuff like that, I was a bit like, what's going on? And then, with all the stores shutting down, the brand still had to communicate different types of messages. So that's when they started to reach out to me and call me a lot for different types of activations and content and things like that. So for me, it's been a challenging time because I have lost a few people through the COVID pandemic. But in terms of me personally and my work and things like that, it's been okay.
So, what have you done to kind of, tangibly, weather the storm? What have you kind of had to change or put in place or maybe switch things around? What have you had to do?
Yeah, well, personally, it's been a lot of Zoom meetings, like everyone else, as you know. I didn't really have to switch too much in place. I just had to get into a more routine in terms of my order of life, in terms of waking up earlier, making sure I do my shopping and different things for myself and my family. Um, but what I did do to kind of get people more motivated is I wrote 3 books in this period in time period. Yeah, so I wrote 3 books which I released, via audio book, and I have got written. I'm working on an independent distribution deal at the moment, but I done audio books so people can kind of learn as they go through this type of pandemic.
Okay. And tell us a little bit more about your entrepreneurial journey. So, from what I've seen, just on the internet and what I know of you, you've done some big deals with people like JD,
Yeah.
LS, and other brands. Tell me a bit
Yes.
about that and how you got to that
Yeah.
stage.
So I mean, with with this whole lockdown situation, I have been approached by brands like ASOS and like JD to do some really good content. I mean, let's start with ASOS. They approached me to do something called Sneakers in 60, where I talk about different footwear in a 60-second kind of clip. So I done a campaign for them, some content for them, and then I done some content for my friends over at JD Sports, who are also called the Undisputed Junior Trainers. So it was a good synergy when because we've had our differences in the past. But it was a good synergy where people we came together and worked on this particular thing.
Okay, so we have a question from Samuel, the main man. He
Yes.
says, "What's kept you disciplined despite this period?"
What's kept me disciplined is a lot of people rely on me. A lot of people rely on me, so I've had to keep my head focused on making sure that I'm bringing in an income, making sure that I'm following the rules. Because if something happens to me, a lot of people will go through a hard time. So I made that my core focus, and I just really kind of put my head down and got to work.
And can you talk us through like an average day during this period in comparison to maybe when things were normal? How have you had to
Okay.
change your day? And what time do you
Um,
wake up? Tell us from
yeah.
start to
So my
finish.
average day, if I'm honest, it hasn't changed too much. I mean, I'm an early riser, so I'm up about 5, 6 in the morning. I spend half an hour to an hour doing like just getting myself ready, meditating, and just sitting still or laying still, just kind of getting my thoughts together, ready for the day. Then I either prepare some content for Instagram. My content always goes at 8 a.m. Every single day. And then I start to get to work, replying back to emails, etc., etc. You know, have my normal lunch and stuff. During the kind of the unveiling of lockdown, saying that we can move around, I do go to my office, which is in Tottenham, um, just to see if I've got any mail and stuff like that. But apart from that, I wake up early, go to bed late. So that's kind of my work ethic is very very strong. So I'm always working.
And how have you balanced that with, say, your personal life? Has your personal life been affected because of the fact that you've had to make
Personal life,
changes?
personal life. No, I'm joking. I don't even know what that means. No,
Or just your life
no.
outside of work,
I
basically,
know.
like.
I know it sounds really crazy. But oof, my life is kind of surrounded by work. If I'm honest, I mean, my personal life, yeah, no, it hasn't affected it in any type of way, really. But I feel that it's made me value time more because even we take time for granted. So with this lockdown, and we're forced to stay home, we're forced to get active, or else our brains will remain idle. So it's made me value time a lot more than usual.
Okay, okay. And so, in terms of like the business deals that are to come now, have there been major shifts within this kind of quarantine periods? Have you been able to spend that so-called time that you're talking about to kind of access more
Yes,
deals?
yes, I have. So we've been really developing concepts, developing ideas. I do something called Monday Night Live, which is a live industry talk that arise through COVID because of this whole Black Lives Matter resurgence. I wouldn't even say it's a movement; it's a resurgence. Unfortunately, due to the death of George Floyd. So I've managed to kind of set up something called Creators Union in the time, which is a body it's a CIC developing into a body and slash union where we're going to be helping um, creatives in this time of uncertainty. So if a creative has faced any type of grievance at work or within a contract, we're going to be that place that they can come and speak to. Not necessarily the people that go to court and fight for them, but you can speak to us and we'll give you the options of what we can do for you.
Okay, okay. And so what made you come about that idea?
Yeah, so Creative Union, it was really an idea because when I saw the injustice of what was happening, a lot of different questions arose, like people not being treated fairly within their workplaces, black influencers not getting the same as white influencers, um, and just general injustice, men and women's pay divide, pay gaps, and things like that. So I did my first live, it was coming up to like I think 6 weeks ago, and I had people come and share their stories. By people coming to share their stories, I realized that a lot of people harboring some form of trauma because they weren't allowed to kind of be vocal about their dissatisfactions and what they're going through. So I said to myself, you know what? It's all good me setting up this live and people speaking, but what really needs to happen is we need to do action. So a lot of sportswear and footwear companies pledged loads of money. There's currently £1 billion available, and I thought, no, let me set up something to make sure that I'm one of the people accessing these funds to help people going through these types of trauma. So that's why the fund was, the Creative Union was set up to really kind of be that voice from the real people on the ground to then help creatives and influencers within the space.
And how wide is that kind of scope for creatives? Are we talking specifically within fashion, or is it even wider than that?
Yeah, so it is dedicated. Sorry, it's focused on footwear and fashion, but not limited to. So we're going to be looking at creatives, content creators. We're looking at influencers. These are our primary focus within footwear and fashion, but then looking at photography, music, etc. So we're looking at a whole spectrum. We need to be very careful not to go too wide, too fast. So we're definitely focusing on content creators and influencers first, and then we're going to look at expanding.
Okay. And so talk to me about some current projects that you're working on. What can people expect when they Google you or see what are your
Yeah,
ongoing projects that you're dealing with at the moment?
yeah. So okay, so oh god, I've got a few projects, but my main project right now is the release of my collaboration with Ellesse of a shoe, being one of the first black men to collaborate with Ellesse, and not being a sports person or an entertainer. This is quite a big deal. The shoe obviously been delayed due to COVID, but it's definitely something that I'm going to really get behind and push.
And just talk me through the kind of process of designing a shoe. How do you come up with the ideas? What exactly is the process?
Yeah, so okay, so this particular process, I was asked by a PR company called Gunho, who deal with Ellesse PR, Ellesse's PR, and it was really like to relaunch a particular model called the Ellesse Tanker. That model was, it's a retro model from '82, and it's a tennis shoe. And then we got invited to the Ace Hotel for a consultation session. So we all sat down, we looked at the shoe, what can we do, what ideas can we do? Then what happened was they said, you guys can just design it. I mean, they gave us literally a paper with the shoe silhouette on, and we just had to kind of design. And they gave us a shoe as well, which we can draw and write on and design. And then later, they sent us a CAD, a computer aided design, where we can add colors via the computer. So that was very good. And then there wasn't actually a shoe collaboration deal on the table at that time. And what really changed and pivoted the collaboration was we were all promised between 5 and 10 shoes that we can give to friends and family. Um, I was told by the PR company that my shoe they liked it so much, so they showed it around and stuff like that, which was really good. But then when I picked up my shoe, I was so overwhelmed. I thought I'd done a great job, and my concept fit in with Ellesse's history of them sponsoring Boris Becker, and it fit in with my history of my mum liking Boris Becker and him winning the Wimbledon Championship. So, you know, lo and behold, they I posted a snippet screenshot, a snippet of the label and had my name, Franklin Boateng, had my size, and the internet went crazy. Like, you know, people were just commenting. I had about 600 comments. I had about 500 messages on WhatsApp, and people just demanded they want that shoe to be released. Ellesse then sat down with their PR company and the head office and everyone, and they said, "Look, this is an opportunity that we can't miss. We're going to do the shoe for this gentleman," and then they offered me a full collaboration. So yeah, it was a moment. It was a big moment.
And so for budding entrepreneurs,
Hmm.
not just within your industry, but just in general, if they're trying to get big names like LS or any other
Yeah,
major brand on board, what would be kind of like your top tips or top advice as to how to
yeah.
do that?
A very good question because when I was kind of coming into the game, I had no one to tell me. So one real solid piece of advice is you need to reach out to the PR companies of these brands. If you reach out directly to these brands, unfortunately, they won't get back to you because they're so big and they're so busy, and it's not a personal thing, you know. So you need to source out the PR companies for these brands, and once you source out PR companies for these brands, you have to present them with some form of uh, like, who are you? You know, are you guys content creators? Are you guys a body? What are you gonna do for the brand? Are you an influencer? You get what I mean? A lot of people put me into the bracket of influencers because I have a big following. Even though I always say I'm influencers inspiration because I teach them. So source out the PR companies and really don't. You have to give them things. You have to do work for the PR companies, meaning that if they give you a pair of shoes to review, you have to you have to do the review. You have to be very very active and consistent, and then you can build up a relationship where you can then approach the brands directly through the PR companies to do paid campaigns, and then from paid campaigns you can probably do different types of collaborations where they fly to different countries, etc., etc. But it's not just you're going to email the brand with a proposal and they're going to get back to you. It doesn't work like that. And unfortunately, that's what I thought because that's what I did in the beginning, and I really got kind of ignored. So this is the blueprint.
Okay. And so just talk to me a little bit about, I guess, best phrase to use is your come up. How
Hmm.
important were things like mentors or your peers kind of giving you feedback? How much of that was a major role in becoming an
Yeah.
entrepreneur?
Oh yeah, I mean, well, my come up, I'm a serial entrepreneur straight out of university, so I didn't have as many people to kind of tell me what to do until I got to a bigger stage. However, I did look at people closely and their moves. Someone like Rene Carell, he done a Carefree Mortgage in 2 Years show. You know, Mind of an Entrepreneur. He's a very, very, very well respected entrepreneur. So I will follow his moves. I'll go to a lot of the leadership summits. I'll go to a lot of the seminars. You know, I was really success resources. I would go to a lot of these things to really develop and understand how entrepreneurs work. So at the time, I never had any individual people, and it's only later down the line I start to meet great guys like a gentleman called Dean Ricketts, who kind of kind of schooled me on a few things. But I really kind of crashed and burned a lot. If I'm honest, I
So
crashed and
you've
burned
learnt
a
on the
lot.
job.
Yeah, literally crashed and burned so many times.
And so when you
And
do crash and burn, how do you rise from the ashes, so to speak, and not kind of feel
oh wow,
deflated by what's happened?
with me, I because I've gone from making loads of money to nearly go bankrupt, and for me, I have a unbelievable self belief. Even when I'm on my lowest of low, I just believe in myself and I'm consistent. You know, I don't even have any type of words to kind of describe it, but I really just dust myself off, and I just keep my head down, and I work and I work and I work. And I feel sometimes what happens is my work then brings me joy in what I'm achieving. So that makes me know that I'm doing the right thing, even when I'm not getting paid. You know, it's a bit like my King of Trainers page on Instagram. I had to post 20 pictures a day for 3 years straight before I got my first pay, my first pair of trainers, you know. And that's because I was consistent, and I was like, I'm not going to stop. I know what I'm doing. I'm going to do this. I'm going to be consistent, and it really pays off. So, my advice to anyone: if you believe in yourself, despite if you crash and burn, but you still have the belief, don't let that belief and that fire in your stomach go out. Because the minute that fire in your stomach goes out, that's when, unfortunately, you've actually failed.
Right. And just on that notion of self belief, for someone who maybe has, as you said, either lost it or is just trying to gain it in the first place, what would be your tips to do that?
You learn. You have to learn. You have to learn the industry and market you're going for. And that would aid you a lot better than like myself, because I went into different arenas, especially in the footwear world, where I thought I can just approach people. Like, I was very brave. I think if that's the best way for me to describe it, I will come up in places and show my face and wear a crown and a robe, because my way of upbringing was more aggressive. I'm not. I was this before the internet world, so I was very aggressive. If you got a question, you ask. You don't. If you want something, you ask. You make yourself be seen. So my thing at the time was make myself be seen. Hence, when I would go to footwear events, I would wear a crown and a robe. It wasn't for any type of self benefit. It wasn't to kind of show off and say, I'm a king, look at me. It was because I knew that would get people's attention, for people to actually follow me and be, inquisitive, to be like, who is this guy?
It's a
Who?
type of PR, right?
Yeah, it is PR. It is PR. A lot of people called me crazy. I received a lot of abuse online. I still do, if I'm honest. But I have a very clear focus, and my focus is getting an audience and then producing content for my audience and generating money. So anything else for me, it doesn't make any sense.
Okay. And talk to me about focus then, because I guess that's also kind of linked to self belief. If
Yeah,
if you're someone who maybe has tons of self belief and you have a great idea and you know how you want to run with it, but then your focus keeps shifting, what
yeah.
are your tips for someone who's trying
Yeah,
to stay
and and
focused?
and entrepreneurs, we always like that. We do a million things. I run a million different things every single day. I've got 1,000 plates spinning. However, I always say that you have to build your revenue model from one set thing first. One set thing first. When you build a revenue model for one set thing first, that will then help you to then do other things, because you know where your money's coming from. The problem is when you're trying to be an entrepreneur, and you're trying to build a revenue model from too many things at the same time, you technically don't get anything back. So you're actually overworking yourself. So build your revenue model for one set thing, then you can diversify into other areas, and they will start to generate money. But that's where your focus should be, on your money. What is making you money? What is actually making you happy and making you money? And then once you get what's making you happy, making you money, then you can then say, okay, this is where I want to. I'll go here and there and stuff. But get your money.
Okay. So the theme of this webinar is obviously overcoming adversity. Obviously, we
Yes.
started with quarantine and how obviously it's had quite an adverse effect on people, not just entrepreneurs, but also workers, etc. But can you talk to me about another time where you've had quite a negative experience within your entrepreneurial journey that,
Well, yeah,
was kind of like almost make or break for you?
yeah. I could even tell you about even last week. You know, I made a statement online about a pair of expensive shoes. A lot of people didn't like that statement I made, and it wasn't really directed to the people who actually came to attack me. So what happened was I made a statement at a pair of your Jordans. These are your Jordans were retailing at £1,800. People had to enter a raffle for a chance to purchase. People entered that raffle for a chance to purchase, but then what happened was people couldn't raise the money to purchase. So they have the option to purchase, but they can't raise the money to purchase. So I said, rather than leaving the shoe, contact me. I will give you some money on top, and I will purchase the shoe. People deemed what I said as me taking advantage of people who haven't got money, but they weren't gonna get the shoe anyway. So how am I taking advantage? What then happened is my Instagram was screenshotted, put into different Facebook groups, and then I was attacked online. I was attacked. I was racially abused. My family was brought into the situation and things like that. However, what happened was I didn't. I was just defending myself, so I wasn't um, trying to screenshot. Keep evidence. That's what people want. They always want evidence. Yeah. So I was getting racially abused, and then I attacked. And my mechanism is, if you abuse me, I'm gonna attack you way worse than the way you abused me. So I attacked. When I attacked, you know, they use my attack as their defense. So they put, oh, look at what the king's saying. They put it in groups and all that sort of stuff. So people then start to abuse me more. So it was a very tough time. And people were saying, oh, but you didn't receive racial abuse. Why are you bringing race into it? Blah, 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 blah. And it was sad because even some black people didn't believe me when I was saying I'm being racially abused. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna leave it. If people don't agree with me, let's call it a day. I then proceeded to get to work. I had my post with JD Sports and my post with ASOS, and this was just last weekend. So I was feeling good about myself. I then unblocked the people who I blocked, which was literally hundreds of people, and then lo and behold, ugly rears its head round the corner, and then I get more racial abuse from one of the people who abused me in the beginning. So this time, I see the dates. I was like, oh, this is one of the guys. Let me screenshot that. I screenshot that. I put that up on Instagram, and it goes viral. I get 50,000 views on that post. This was actually literally Tuesday. And then all the people came back and said, "Oh, Franklin, we're sorry, we didn't know." But the sad thing, what I've learned is when you're a black man and you say you've been abused, no one wants to believe you until you have to show proof, and
Mm.
that is the hard thing that you have to try to overcome because you know what you're going through, and only you know what you're going through, but you have to kind of rise above and be like, okay, these people don't believe me. And then you start to kind of question yourself to be like, why do I have to prove myself to these people when they don't believe me in the first place? Because it showed me when I provided proof, and the racial abuse I received was horrific. Racial abuse, what was said was horrific. No one could say nothing. No one could say nothing. Everyone was like, oh, I understand why you reacted like that, you know? So at all points in my life, I always say to people, if you're going through something and no one believes you, believe in yourself. Because unfortunately, the way this world is, you're born alone, you're going to die alone. So if you don't believe in yourself, you're going to be always going to be pleasing people. Do you get what I mean? I personally don't think I had to show proof when I'm telling people that I'm being abused, but this is what they wanted to see. You see what I'm saying? But then when they saw how horrific it was, they came and apologized. They came and apologized. I done a live on Tuesday. People were coming in the live and they were apologizing, you know, for questioning me and things like that, which is fine. That's just how it goes. But you have to really rise above and really get through it and really believe in yourself.
And emotionally and mentally, how was that experience for you? How did
Well,
you cope?
yeah. Well, to be honest, I teach social media and I'm very aware of social media being a very ugly place and a very distant place. So I'm very passive with my social media. I have to admit, last weekend, not weekend, on the weekend before, I was very emotional because people were attacking me directly. So I did react in a way where I was thinking, oh, maybe I could have reacted a bit more better. However, um, mentally, it wasn't more of the abuse. It was more of the people. I mean, it was literally like in the sneaker world, it was going viral. People saying, "I'm cancelled. They should cancel the king." People posting up on their stories, cancel him. He's talking rubbish, blah blah, calling me names, everything like that. And that's what kind of upset me because despite me getting the abuse, people then not believing me and then continuing to abuse me by not believing me. That's what was the very trying and hard thing because people didn't have to abuse me. So I was getting called all sorts of names, even though I'm the one that's telling you I've been abused. Does that make sense? But so that messed with me, but not even mentally, in a way where it made me angry because it showed that black lives do matter. It showed that black sneakerheads do matter. It showed that this is why we're in the position we're in because we always have to prove. When it came to this George Floyd situation where the policeman kneeled on his neck and murdered him, if that video evidence wasn't there, no one would believe a policeman can do that to a black man. You see what I'm trying to say? So we're living in a culture and a society where black men have no real voice. Because the minute we say, "Oh, we're attacked," "Oh, where's the proof? We can't see nothing." But where I didn't see it. You get what I mean? So, that there is why Black Lives Matter. Is why we're facing these types of obstacles. Because even when you look at different workplaces, if we say we're going through some sort of grievance, black men are told to be strong. "Oh, I didn't see it. Oh, this didn't happen to me. Oh, are you sure, Franklin? Oh, is everything okay?" You get what I mean? So this is where we need to really start to call out people, and those same people who don't believe, they're part of the problem. They're part of the problem because at the end of the day, how are we supposed to get forward when we're telling people our grievances and they're not believing us?
And how do you feel your race has played a role in your entrepreneurial journey? Do you think it's
It's
been
been
negative or positive
no,
or
no. It's
neutral?
it's been for me. I don't look at it as I personally don't look at it as a hindrance, but other people do. Meaning, I know that my race has played a part in me not getting through certain doors. You get what I mean? But what I do is I use my work ethic to say, look, it doesn't matter what color I am working hard. That's one thing you could not take away from me. I work hard. So by working hard, if you choose to exclude me, that's on you. That's your prejudice. You see what I'm trying to say? It's not
Yeah.
my prejudice. So so for me, it's not the fact that I'm a black man. It's the fact that now you're denying someone who's a hard worker. It's got nothing to do with me being black anymore. Now you're looking at me, number one, because I'm a black man, and number two, you're going to exclude someone who's working hard. So I never tried to say, bring the race card in. But now, after what's happened, I'm bringing the race card in every time because these people have shown themselves to exclude me for telling the truth. You see what I'm trying to say? So now I'm screaming Black Lives Matter every day because you guys didn't believe me in the first place. And for those of you who are listening to this, you can look on my live, King of Trainers, and you will see the people who had to come and apologize.
Okay. Just noting that we're about halfway through. Just for the people
Yeah.
who are just joining us, if you've just joined us in the last few minutes, you can follow DESC at desk.io, which is also not only on Instagram, but it's also the website. You can also follow us on at Desk Global. So please tune in for that and subscribe and see other videos that are on the YouTube channel. So, Franklin, let me just go to some questions that people have brought in.
Okay.
Someone called Kafui has said, what have you learned about yourself and your business during this time?
What I've learned, yeah, and what I've learned about myself and my business is that we are important as content creators, and especially black content creators. We're very important right now. We're needed. I hope whoever's listening and you're a content creator, please do more content, get it out there, because right now we're the flavor of the month. And to be honest, we've always been the flavor of the month. It's just that they've ignored us to the point that they haven't seen that we are the creative people. You get what I mean? creativity, the word creative came from Africa. It came because when we come with our African prints and our patterns, I remember when I was a kid, I'll wear a kente cloth to school, and my teacher would be like, "Oh, that's very nice and very creative." You get what I mean? So we need to start to show that to people and show our skills. So I've realized over this period that I matter, and I'm very proud that people are starting to realize that, and people are starting to say, okay, we need you guys to show us the narrative right now, and that's what's been happening. So the brands, shout out all the brands and my partners that I work with, they're coming to me and they're saying, okay, how can we work and how can we get things going?
So you've been doing this for, a considerable amount of time now.
Yeah,
What would you say to say, the first year of business self, looking back, if you were able to tell that person, right, this is what I would do differently, what are the
yeah,
steps that you would do differently?
yeah. So um, it's funny. I wrote a book about this actually, and it's called How to Get Free Stuff from Brands. um, and what I would do differently is I would learn about more about the area and target I'm going. I have a good idea, but I would learn more about it and learn more about what I actually want to do in that area, you know, and just really kind of learn before I kind of put my foot forward. Make sure I've set up all my kind of foundations properly, because what I would do is in the beginning I would be like, okay, I look at this idea, register the Instagram, register the Twitter, register the domain, and then go. You get what I mean? You know, because around about 2009, 2010, I had my own social network called Fabs Network. Fabs Network was a online social network before Instagram, and it had a stream down the middle that everyone could contribute to. And it was a creative network. I had about 5,000 members. I had over a million hits a month. I was doing it, but then my network got hacked, and the reason why I got hacked because I wasn't prepared for that. You get what I mean? If I had taken some time to just before I launch, I just take a step back and be like, okay, let me go forward. I would have been able to combat that and know what I was doing. So that was a big lesson for me. So my lesson to anyone starting out is learning is your friend. Libraries are your friend. The internet is your friend. Make sure you guys learn as much as you can before you take your first foot forward.
And if you could have your time again, would you still go down the entrepreneurial route, or would you
One
decide to
hundred
just
percent.
do 9 to 5?
No, 100%. I've sacrificed a lot to be an entrepreneur. I'm not a 9 to 5 guy. Since I was a kid, at 15, I knew I can't. I'm what you call unemployable. So
And
I have
describe that. What does an unemployable person mean?
unemployable with me, and there's nothing wrong with being employed. There's nothing wrong with being 9 to 5, but I have a problem with authority of people who haven't really done much in life. And I know it sounds really arrogant, but I remember one of my first retail jobs, and it was at a place called Asda Dales, when it was in Tottenham Hill. This was many, many years ago. I'm not going to even say how long ago it was. And there was my managers at the time. They were, my managers. I used to work in the produce department, so that's the fresh food department. And my managers at the time, they would give me such a hard time. I was like, wow, this is crazy. You guys must be, you guys must have done so many things in life, and must be earning so much money, and then my sister was the payroll person. So when I go home, I'll be like, Jen, like, how much do these people earn? And then she would tell me, and it was below minimum. Well, I wouldn't say below minimum wage, but it was very, very low. And I was saying, you guys give me such a hard time for this, you know, and it's very arrogant. I'm sorry, but it did show me that, you know, at that age, I didn't want to be in their position, and they were in their very later stages in life, and they were getting such little money. And money's not the be all and end all. Don't get me wrong, but they weren't happy because they were putting all their stresses on me, being a young man. And I was like, no, 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 no. I can't be this. I can't work like this in life. I have to own my destiny. and I have to fulfill my destiny. So straight out of uni, I've never been employed. I've had contracts. I've worked with companies, but I've never been on PAYE. So I just know that I'm unemployable.
So you definitely do the entrepreneurial journey again.
100%. I'll do it a thousand times. It's just that I know where I failed and I know the mistakes I made, but I would recommend anyone. It's just freedom, and I've been very fortunate enough to do well from it. Not everyone does well. And it has been a time where I nearly lost everything. I had, I went from an okay lifestyle to, nearly losing everything. And I think sometimes when you go through things like that, it's the fear of losing everything again. So it drives you and gives you that strength and energy to work hard. And nothing in the world, like whoever's listening to this, nothing in the world beats hard work. Nothing beats hard work. If you're willing to work hard, anything's possible.
And just tell me a bit about your inspirations, your muses, both creatively as well as socially, as
Yeah,
well as your
yeah.
entrepreneurial
Well, my,
journey.
my inspirations are my mum and my sister and my dad. Like, because I come from a Ghanaian household, and hard work has always been the foundation. You know, Getting up early, not seeing my mum, not seeing my dad. By the time I'm going to school, they're already at work. That type of situation. And we've always had a hardworking family. So my inspiration is my family first and foremost. You know, and I do have other peers and other people that I look up to, but I've learned that you shouldn't put two people on a pedestal too much, because we're all human, and what they can do, you can do. And I'd say that amongst everyone, the only difference that separates us is opportunity. That's the only difference. It's not necessarily education. It's not necessarily um, the place it could sometimes it is the place we come from, but we need to harness what works for us and our energies, and start to just work hard and focus on what we want to do. People may say it's easy for me to say about focus, but take one thing and just focus and make it work. You know.
Okay, just out of curiosity, is your sister called Jen?
Yes, she is. Yes.
Okay, she just sent a message saying, "Thank you, bruv. Yes, hard work has always been our family foundation."
Oh, is it? Oh, wow. She's on. Shout out Jenny. She already knows. She already knows. One of my biggest inspirations.
Okay, so tell me more about what can we see going forwards. What are the things that are like your major goals in a year's time, 5 years time, 10 years time?
Yeah. Well, one of my major goals I achieved was to partner with JD Sports, because we've had a turbulent time over the years, but now we're on very good ground. And for the Undisputed King of Trainers them as the store, posting me, the King of Trainers, on their Instagram was one of my life goals. I'll be honest, because I've been through a very big struggle with that whole situation.
With
So
JD specifically.
yes, yes,
Okay.
indeed, over the whole King of Trainers name, but it's all good. It's all good. So going forward, we're going to be working on a few things. I'm going to be. We've got a situation that we're doing, myself and my business partner, shout out Chris, Word in the Feet, where we're going to be doing some stuff with Puma very soon. I can't really say it yet, but just watch out for that. I've got a new show. I can't really say yet, but it's going to be on a very big music platform, very very big music platform. So we're just trying to sort out the particulars for that right now. So yeah, I mean, in the future, you're going to see more of me. You're going to see more vibrancy, more content. And yeah, I'm going, like, right now. I've got so much fire in my belly. Like, I don't know who can stop me.
No, it sounds like you got fire in your belly. That's for sure. That's for
Oh,
sure.
thank you,
If you're the
thank
way you're just rolling out those like big brand names, clearly, you got
you.
a target on it with each of them, and you're
Oh,
going for
indeed,
it.
indeed. And
Okay.
my shoe. Actually, do you want to see my shoe?
Yeah,
Do you
go
want?
for it.
Okay, give me 1 second. Let me just quickly work on it.
Just to reiterate for those who may be just joining us or didn't hear me before, This is Desk Talk. This is a platform where we're redefining how workspaces are accessed and used both online and offline. There's the shoe.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is my collaboration with Ellesse.
Is
You
that
know,
made out of like velvet?
yeah, no, yeah. So it's suede. It's really high quality
Suede.
suede.
Okay.
So the collaboration. So this is the shoe. One right foot, light, dark blue, left foot light blue, and it's based on a the championship that Boris Becker won in 1985, and he's wearing an Ellesse jacket, and that jacket is light blue and dark blue. So whoever's on this stream, if you were to Google Boris Becker 1985 Wimbledon Championship, you'll see the jacket, and he's holding the Wimbledon Cup over his head. So I requested that the shoe comes with gold laces
Okay.
to represent the Wimbledon Championship. Yeah,
Nice.
And then it's got 1995 on the back. So the actual shoe is called Decade because this model, this particular championship was 1985. But between 1985 and 1995, that's really kind of when I got cemented as the professional trainer by the trainers that my mum would buy me and the trainers that I would buy when I go to the States with my sister. So this shoe is coming out. Oh God! So it's scheduled for hopefully October, but you know with everything it may be pushed back. But yeah, it's really right now it's my pride and joy. So yeah.
My next question was going to be: do you have a favorite trainer, or would you
Oh,
just
this is my
this is
favorite
your
trainer.
favorite?
This is my
Okay, so
favorite.
outside of this particular design, do you have a favorite trainer? Not necessarily just one that you've designed, but other ones as well.
Oh yeah, I mean I have different trainers like Air Max 90s. I have loads. Like I grew up on Nike when I was a kid. Growing up in Tottenham, if you had it was kind of a kind of street wear, okay, street fashion show. So what you had to do is you had to buy the most expensive trainer to be somebody. You get what I mean? So some people would say 110s, 110, 120 pounds. The Nike Air Maxes was what we had to buy, the TNs and stuff like that. So that's how I grew up. But then as I ventured, you know, got older, it was more about different brands and comfort, and it's about what people didn't have, you know, and that's what it was, especially in the 90s. You couldn't you couldn't really buy the same shoe someone else. That was disrespectful, it was disrespectful. Unfortunately, it's like now everyone just wants the same shoe. You get what I mean?
Mm.
But when I grew up in the 90s, you had the same shoe as someone, it was a bit like, what are you doing? You can't buy that shoe. Someone else got it. You actually get dissed for buying someone's shoe. So but now it's fine. Everyone come and buy my shoe. I want everyone to have their shoe. Come and buy it. So yeah.
And talk to me about your own personal collection. Like, what are the different types of trainers you have? What are your
Oh wow.
favorites? What are the
Yeah.
ones that are so exclusive that people don't even know about? How
Well,
many do you have?
okay. So So the MS 95 it's the actual 20th anniversary, the 25th anniversary of the MS 95. These are a size collaboration. Um, very very limited shoe. And it's made from different materials and stuff like that. So this particular model is one of my favorite models from Nike. This particular model is you know, this shoe is actually really really exclusive. But I have so many pairs. Um, it's hard for me to say one is my favorite, if that makes any sense.
Mm.
Um,
But if
but
you absolutely had to choose, and someone put a gun to your head and said you must choose your favorite, what would it be?
it would be the Jordan 4, um, the Jordan 4 Red. Uh, that would probably be my favorite shoe.
And why
Um,
is that?
oh, it's just the time and history. I remember. Um, if I tell you the story, you guys are gonna laugh. You guys are gonna laugh if I tell you the
Tell
story.
us.
But okay. So it was my mum's 40th birthday, and I'm not gonna say the year, but it was around the time when the Jordans first came out. And back in those days, I can get one shoe a year. So my mum bought me a shoe called the Nike Trainer SC. It's a Nike trainer, and they were the baddest trainers that year. But then my cousin Kwame, he came in with the Jordan 4s, and the Jordan 4s girls weren't in the UK yet, to the party, to my mum's birthday party. And like, I remember I was at the party and I had the best pair of trainers. And that's how I was as a kid. I had the best pair of trainers. Everyone was surrounding me. But then when my cousin Kwame came in with his Jordan 4s, he took the energy away. So I was like, no, like I want that pair of trainers. Yeah, I remember that party, and it's just from there I've just been like, oh, that's definitely my favorite pair because I saw the energy shift and I saw everyone going from my pair to his pair, and yeah, it's memories. Yeah, every
So
trainer I have.
sentimental value.
Oh, indeed, 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 indeed.
And do you have copies of trainers? Do you have like more than one pair of a particular type, or do you have
Yeah,
one of
yeah,
each?
yeah. I have doubles of a lot of pairs of trainers. Yeah,
Okay.
doubles.
And what is that, just to kind of like minimize the wear and tear, or?
Yeah, so some trainers, it's like we always say one to rock, one to stock. So
Okay.
we always buy doubles, buy one to wear and one to stock. So I have a doubles of quite a lot of pairs of trainers.
Okay. So what would be like your dream collaboration and your dream design? Like if money was no object and there was no
Wow.
ceiling and there was no issue of like social media backlash or whatever, what is like
Yeah. My
your
dream
dream design?
collaboration. Well, I guess if you're a sneakerhead, especially being one from the UK, everyone wants to collaborate with Nike because Nike is always seen as the pinnacle company. But if I'm honest, I've kind of already done my dream, which was just to get a collaboration, and I've kind of already done that. But my dream collaboration, I guess, would be with Nike. Um, However, like what Ellesse has done for me in allowing me to have a collaboration has been monumental, So it's been, it has really been something, So I can't really ask for more, if I'm honest. Yeah, yeah.
So would you see yourself maybe branching outside of trainers one day, into other shoe wear, or are you gonna stick just to trainers?
No, in definitely. I mean, I do fashion at the moment. So there's some things happening, where I could, there's certain things on the horizon. If I say it too soon, it may not happen. But definitely some fashion things happening very, very soon. Some real fashion things happening. So yeah.
And just tell me, with your brand as the king of trainers,
Mm.
has that opened up other doors for you that you were maybe not
Indeed.
expecting?
Oh, indeed, definitely. I mean, I consult now. I consult with, and I have consulting work with all the brands, if I'm honest. So that door, I didn't really know, if I'm honest, at the time when I started the social media journey of King of Trainers, I didn't know that was available to me, and things like I have literally been flown all over the world just to attend events and talk about training. So I didn't know these options were available, but the people who had these options didn't inform me. You get what I mean?
Mm,
When I walk into the room, unfortunately I'm one of very, very few black men there. But then I'm like, wow, how come no one told me that there was this world here? You get what I mean?
mm.
I've been taken to California. I've been all over the world. New York, everywhere, just for trainers. And I was like, wow, you can really do this. So it's a it's a very yeah, it's a blessing. It's a blessing.
And what has been your favorite trip that this world has taken you
Oh
on?
wow, California possibly, because I hadn't been out to California. This was just last year. So California possibly. I went to something called Complex Con
Okay.
out in Long Beach, and it was phenomenal. It was
And it all
absolutely
about
phenomenal.
trainers, I'm guessing.
It's so Complex Con is the world's largest. Uh, I would say it's a cultural uh, event where you have new brands. So it's a new brand event. So you have new clothing brands, you have cleaning brands, fashion brands, video games. It's huge. It's run by Complex Networks and it is absolutely massive. So we went there on behalf of Puma to do some activations out there. A bunch of us, about I think about 15 to 20 sneakerheads, was flown out there. I actually went a couple of days before everyone went out, and I got to really experience California. And I've got a few friends out there that I got to meet up with. So it's yeah, it's you know, it was a good time.
Okay, nice. We're just coming up to the end now, like last five
Okay,
minutes. As I
go
said,
ahead.
this is all about, overcoming adversity as an entrepreneur, particularly with what's been happening with coronavirus.
Yeah.
We're coming out of lockdown slowly now.
Yes,
What
slowly.
would be your
Slowly.
advice to other entrepreneurs who are slowly, returning back to normal or a new normal?
Mm.
What would be your advice for those people?
Hit while the iron's hot. Hit while the iron is hot. Again, hit while the iron's hot. There's so many opportunities right now. Like, this is the time, even though there's going to be a very severe recession, focus on recession proof businesses. Focus on recession proof businesses and hit while the iron is hot. Because people who can get through this recession, I'm telling you, there's going to be more millionaires and billionaires during this next 10 years. Every 10 years, we go through some sort of crisis. Every 10 years. It always happens. It's just, I don't know if it's meant to happen that way, but we always go through some sort of 10-year crisis. 10 years ago, we had the credit crunch. 10 years before that, we had September 11th. So we always go through some sort of crisis. But during this next 10 years, when there is a recession, there is also a rise of certain businesses. Focus on what you're doing and do it to the best of your ability and become recession proof. When you can become recession proof, you will be, I'm telling you, I'm saying that there's going to be more billionaires. I'm projecting onto everyone who's watching this. You guys are going to be millionaires and possibly billionaires in the next 10 years. Because right now is the best time for business. Like, it's literally the best time for business. So whatever doubts you have in your mind, just know the king is saying to you guys that you're capable of doing it. You can do it, and just go out and do it. Because right now, I'm looking at certain industries and things from trading to investing to building different businesses, and I'm just excited. I'm so excited right now. Yeah, I'm amped.
So this
Yeah.
couldn't have happened at a better time, basically, for someone
Oh
like
my
you.
god. Yeah. At the it's very sad because I have lost a few friends who have passed during COVID,
Mm.
and I think for me it would be a disservice if I allowed their passing to not allow me to create something good for community and humanity. So I'm always like, look, in their name, I'm gonna work hard. In their name, I'm gonna make sure that we all create something and we do something well. This is not the time for us to be like, oh no, there's a recession. What are we gonna do? It's time for us to really strap up our boots, pull up our socks, and get to work.
Okay, so Franklin, I'll give you the last final words in these last kind of 9 minutes of this webinar. What is
Yeah.
the one final word that you'll give to current as well as budding entrepreneurs?
Believe in yourself. That's it, really. Just believe in yourself. No matter what's happening. Remember, we have lived through the worst pandemic of all time. So if we have lived through that and we have got through that, that means we're here for a purpose. So really believe in yourself, believe in what you're doing. I believe in you, and just keep doing it because at the end of the day, this you are now. You're present, you're here, and you're capable of doing some great work.
Okay, Franklin, thank you so much for joining
No,
us.
thank you.
This has been
Thank
such a
you.
good chat. I've
Shout
learned a
out.
lot. I'm even inspired leaving this webinar, honestly,
Oh,
and I'm
God
meant to be
bless
just
you.
hosting it.
God
So,
bless you. Make so much blessings come for you, come for Samuel, everyone who's on here. Everyone, I bless you, man.
amen to
We're
that.
gonna do it together.
Okay, so just for the purposes of people who are watching, again, you can follow us on at desk.io, which is also the website, or at Desk Global, which is on Instagram. Also, you can access more videos if you subscribe to the YouTube channel. And don't forget, tickets go live from tomorrow for the next webinar, which will be in 2 weeks' time. And that will be with Mark Agyakwa, who is the founder of YFit. But for everybody who has joined, thank you so much to Franklin and to everyone else who has been part of this webinar. I hope you've enjoyed it. Have a fantastic evening. Thank you again, Franklin.
Thank you.
Thank you.